Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So, right at this moment, the U.S. government seems very hard set on inciting a war with Russia over Ukraine. So, let's cover some of what is happening right now and what the claims are about Russia. All right, so one of the first claims that is being pushed around by our government is that Russia is going to invade Ukraine. There is absolutely no indication of this. There have been Russian troops on the Russian border or near the Russian border, that are near Ukraine, and Russia says that it is an extended training mission, which was planned well in advance. Okay. Now, in response, all of a sudden, NATO is conducting war games. What, I think, in Ukraine? Or anyway, in a means that is very threatening to Russia. Russia is not conducting war games outside of their own borders. They're conducting their war games within their own borders. No matter what, they are within their own borders. And they have made no move. They have not been increasing troops. That number has remained static. So for months now. Anyway, they're claiming that Russia has got these, extraordinary demands, which there's nothing extraordinary about it. I've already covered some of that before. To not want all these arms and NATO troops on their borders and missiles on their borders, that's completely reasonable. If Russia put missiles in Cuba, Venezuela, Mexico, Canada, and troops on our borders, then, wouldn't we feel like we had an objection to that? And yet U.S. troops are in Ukraine. The UK has sent, 7 airliners, 7 cargo ships, jets full of arms to Ukraine. And we have given billions of dollars to Ukraine for weapons, and on and on. And the United States is making it sound like all of the European Union is with us on this issue. Well, those jets coming from the UK were not allowed to pass over France or Germany because France and Germany object to this. Okay, so France and Germany want no part of this. So no, the EU and France and Germany are the 2 largest participants in the European Union, in the European, economic union. So no, the European Union is not with us on this. All right, so what is Russia demanding besides not having weapons on their borders? Something that you have not heard the United States government talk about, which is Russia wants Ukraine to adhere to the Minsk Agreement. What is the Minsk Agreement? Let's go to that. There we are. Okay, the Minsk Protocol. Now, here's something to keep in mind through this. The OSCE. The OSCE, by the way, is the group that recently responded to the uprising, the problems that were going on in Kazakhstan, where they were there for, a week and left. The OSCE is the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. It is the world's largest security-oriented intergovernmental organization with observer status at the United Nations. Its mandate includes issues such as arms control, promotion of human rights, freedom of the press, and fair elections. All right, so what is the Minsk Protocol? The OSCE is integral to this. All right. The Minsk Protocol, which was signed by Ukraine and multiple other countries, all right, Russia, France, and Germany, all signed the Minsk Agreement. Isn't that funny? France and Germany. Guess who's not any part of this agreement? The United States. So this was a diplomatic agreement. The United States being absent from it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? All right, so this was signed by Ukraine in 2014 after the overthrow of the democratically elected government of Ukraine by neo-Nazis. All right, so this was signed after. All right, so the points in this are, all right, to ensure an immediate bilateral ceasefire, to ensure the monitoring and verification of the ceasefire by the OSCE, decentralization of power, including through the adoption of the Ukrainian law on temporary order of local self-governance in particular districts of Donetsk and Luhansk Oblasts. That is the Donbass. All right? To ensure the permanent monitoring of the Ukrainian-Russian border and verification by the OSCE with the creation of security zones in the border regions of Ukraine and the Russian Federation. Immediate release of all hostages and illegally detained persons. A law preventing the prosecution and punishment of persons in connection with the events that have taken place in some areas of the Donetsk and Luhansk Oblasts, Donbass, to continue the inclusive national dialogue, to take measures to improve the humanitarian situation in Donbass, to ensure early local elections in accordance with Ukrainian law on temporary order of local self-governance, in particular districts of Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast, to withdraw illegal armed groups and military equipment, as well as fighters and mercenaries from the territory of Ukraine, to adopt a program of economic recovery and reconstruction for the Donbass region, to provide personal security for participants in the consultations. All right, so that was the original, and then a few months later, in 2015, early 2015, they had an addendum, which was signed again by all parties, to ban flights by combat aircraft over the security zone, to withdraw all foreign mercenaries from the conflict zone, to ban offensive operations, to pull heavy weaponry 15 kilometers, 9.3 miles, back on each side of the line of contact, creating a 30-kilometer, 19-mile buffer zone. To task the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine with monitoring implementation of the Minsk Protocol. All right, so that is the Minsk Agreement, which Russia wants Ukraine to adhere to. Now, after the signing of the Minsk Accord, now both sides violated it, but the people in the Donbass have agreed that they would adhere to this. The Ukraine absolutely refuses. They will not adhere to it. They instead, why is the U.S. even part of this at this point? They had nothing to do with the Minsk Accord. They have nothing to do with the Donbass. They have nothing to do with, any conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Nothing at all, period. Our government has nothing to do with it. And yet our government is going to keep pushing to try and start a war with Russia. This is not Afghanistan. This is not Libya. This is not Syria. This is not Iraq. Those countries did not have nuclear weapons. They did not have the means to fight back, whereas Russia does. When I said that I was depressed the other day, a large part of it had to do with the fact that I'm very convinced that we are going to wind up in a war with Russia, which is going to mean war with China, which means we're going to have war with Iran. We are going to have war with Venezuela. We are going to have war with North Korea. This cannot end well at all for us. The Pentagon has had, hypothetical war games against China in which numerous, I think it was over 40 different scenarios. And there was only one scenario where the United States could win, and that was using weapons that do not exist at this time. And then it was just barely. If we go to war with Russia, we also go to war with all these other countries, because they are all going to be fighting on the side of Russia. There is no doubt about this. I mean, for one thing, if they even see this happening, they're going to fight on the side of Russia because they know they're next. If we go after Russia, they know that we are going after them next. We need to speak out. Be writing your elected officials. Call them, whatever. Object to this. Call it out on social media. When people are in favor of this or talking crap about Russia, you need to call them out. You need to tell them about the Minsk Accord and ask why, what do they know about it? Because most of them know nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. They have no clue. All right. Share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel, and I will catch you in the next one.